Access your free language gifts right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the 24-hour survival phrases PDF cheat sheet. Traveling and want to learn a bit of the language? Then these survival phrases will help you survive the first 24 hours. Second, the Ultimate Listening Video Master Course. Honest question: how good are your listening skills? Well, if you can watch this free master course, then you'll easily understand native speakers. So download it right now. Third, the 50 most common verbs all beginners must know. Do you know all of these verbs? If not, this lesson will drill the 50 most common verbs into your head. Just use the free audio slideshow tool inside. Fourth, 20 strategies for learning language at home. Want to learn a language from the comfort of your home? This 1-minute lesson will give you all the best tactics for learning languages. Fifth, free language learning audiobooks for anyone that sees this video. You'll get free access to our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 35% off Premium or Premium Plus with the Power Up sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the lesson description below. Download them right now before they expire. 10 TV-related words. Let's go. To shoot, to film. The first expression is to shoot or to film. To shoot or to film. Actually, we use these words here, to shoot. To shoot means to take video, to record video. In a sentence, this show was shot in England. To shoot becomes shot. To shoot, shot in past tense. We can also use to film. Film comes from kind of older cameras where film, actual physical film was used. Now, of course, we use mostly digital media, but we use to shoot or to film video or to shoot a TV show to talk about recording something for use in movies or TV. To broadcast, to air. To broadcast or to air. So these are words which mean to play a TV show on TV, to air a TV show, to broadcast a TV show. Recently, I feel like to air is more common, like this TV show airs every week on Friday. In a sentence, new episodes air every Friday. We use broadcast for our live streams on this channel. Like we could say like a live broadcast every week at 10 p.m. EST. That's true. So we can say broadcast or we can say air. I feel like broadcast is a little more natural for internet things. We don't really use airs every week for internet things. We use air for TV. But yeah, broadcast would be more for internet programming, I think. To cast. The next expression, the next vocabulary word is to cast. To cast. There are a couple different meanings of this word. There's a fishing-related word, which means to throw out like a fishing line to try to get a fish. This motion is called to cast. But if you're reading something about your favorite TV show and you see to cast, it means to choose someone to play a character. To choose someone to play a character is to cast. So for example, in a sentence, who was cast in the role of the princess? So to cast someone as a character is the expression we use. Jennifer Aniston was cast as Rachel in Friends. Or Dean Cain was cast as Superman in the Superman TV show from the 90s, to give an American pop culture example. Cast. Okay, the next expression, however, is the noun form cast. So cast as a noun, not as a verb, as a noun, the cast is the group of actors and actresses who play the characters in the TV show or the movie you're watching. So that's everybody. All of the actors and actresses are called the cast together. Their group is called the cast. So for example, that show has an all-star cast. Season, series. The next expression, or the next word, is season or series. Depending on which country, you may hear, let's see, season. Season is usually used in the US, and series, I think, is used maybe in England and maybe in Australia as well. So season and series, these mean like roughly the years of a show. In a sentence, how many seasons have you seen? So the kind of like the chapters of shows. Over like maybe 10 weeks or 12 weeks or so, you might watch one season of a show. It usually has like 8 to 10, maybe 12 episodes we'll talk about later. So one season is like 1 year of a show. Episode. The next expression is episode. Episode. So episode is one, usually for a TV show, one 30-minute or one 60-minute block of time. In a sentence, every episode of that show is so good. So maybe each week, one episode airs from a TV show, or 2 episodes air every week. So an episode is one part of a season. So for example, to use these words together, we could say, there are 10 episodes in every season of my favorite TV show. So episodes are these kind of small blocks of time, small parts of each story. To run. To run, to run. To run is a verb that has many different meanings in English. Oh, we can't talk about them all in one video or even a million videos, but to run in this case means how long a program is broadcast or how long a program airs for. So we would say that show is running for 6 seasons. It means that show is going to be broadcast on TV for 6 seasons. So in another example sentence, that show ran for just 3 seasons. So to run a show refers to the length of time that that TV program can be viewed on TV. Maybe more example sentences are better here. So like, this show has a planned run of 10 years, or we want to run this again next year, for example. So that means how often you want to broadcast. To be set in. The next expression is to be set in. To be set in refers to the place where the story happens in the TV show. We can also use this for books and for movies. Any storytelling situation you can use to be set in. In this example sentence, this show is set in New York City. The expression to set in can refer to place, yes, but it can also refer to the time period of a show. So for example, maybe a show is set in the past, far in the past. You could say, this show is set in the Old West, or this show is set in ancient China. This show is set in England in the 1600s. So that's the location and the time when the TV show is set. So place and location we can use to be set in. To recur. The next word is to recur, to recur. So to recur means to happen again, something that continues, something that repeats, to recur. So we use this for characters and themes in particular in TV shows. So we might see a recurring character. That character is a recurring character in the series. They repeat, they appear again and again from time to time. Not as a regular character, but they appear sometimes, like supporting characters. In a sentence, Joker is a recurring villain in the Batman series. He shows up from time to time. He's a recurring character, a recurring villain in this case. Script. The next word is script. Script. Script is the text for the show. Script is the text that the actors and actresses read to tell you the story. It's the stuff that the writers create, and yeah, actors will read that. Those are the words for the show, the script. So in a sentence, the script of this show is really well written. Fun fact, there is no script for this show. Unscripted! Really, there's no script. Sometimes people are like, they're surprised to find out there's no script for this. Some people are like, you're not reading anything? I'm like, no, of course not. Do you think that I was reading all that? It's always so clear to me, like the episodes that come out where I have had to read something, like for the postcard contest, for example. There's this, everything just slows down and is so, like the vibe is so weird. Anyway, no script for this show. 10 words for talking about space. Planet. The first word is planet. Planet. So planets are those really, really big things that we have in our solar system. Now there are officially 8 because Pluto is no longer considered a planet. In my example sentence, Pluto used to be considered a planet. Star. The next word is star. Star. So stars are those very, very bright objects that you can see in the sky sometimes at night. The closest star to us is the sun. The sun is a star, and we can see a lot of other stars if we look up into the night sky sometimes. In a sentence, it's hard to see stars from big cities. Solar system. The next expression is solar system. Solar system. So solar system, in our case here on planet Earth, refers to the system of planets and objects which are near our star. So our solar system, now there are 8 planets in our solar system. Used to be 9 planets, sorry again, Pluto. 8 planets in our solar system. And then we can talk about other objects which maybe enter our solar system, like comets, for example, or a meteor, or some other events might happen in space within our solar system. So our solar system is the area surrounding our sun and our planets that we know of. In a sentence, Mercury is part of our solar system. Comet. The next expression is comet. A comet is actually an icy body that is slightly melting and then releasing gases. So that's what produces that look, a comet. Okay, in a sentence, comets are really cool. Meteor. All right, so yes, the next word is meteor, or just meteor. So essentially, meteors are different from comets because comets are made of ice. Meteors, however, are made of rock. So these are 2 different kinds of objects that move around in space. In a sentence, lots of meteors burn up before they pass through the atmosphere. Meteorite. The next word is meteorite, meteorite. So this is an important distinction that many people don't know about, actually. This drives me crazy too. So a meteor is the space rock. It's in space or it's in the atmosphere. A meteorite, however, is the rock if the meteor makes it, if the meteor can pass through the Earth's atmosphere and fall to the surface of the Earth, that rock then is called a meteorite. So in space, in the atmosphere, it's a meteor. When it falls to Earth, it is a meteorite. That becomes a meteorite when it hits the Earth. So, fun facts. Okay, that's the difference between the 2. In a sentence, have you ever seen a meteorite? Supernova. Supernova, supernova. So the explosion of a star is a huge event. A supernova is the name of it. So the star explodes, and that's what we call it. It's called a supernova, a star explosion. In a sentence, supernovas must be incredible things. Black hole. All right, the next expression is black hole. Black hole. Black holes are the subject of a lot of study. They have intense gravitational pull, so meaning they have very strong gravity. Black holes will pull other objects into them. It is said that time stops in a black hole, and if you get too close to a black hole, if you get too close to the event horizon of a black hole, you yourself will be pulled into that hole too. It's pretty crazy. So the event horizon is the point at which there's no turning back from, you can't escape essentially the gravitational pull of a black hole once you're within the event horizon of that space. It's crazy. You're done for. All this kind of stuff is so interesting. So, in a sentence, black holes are mysterious. Galaxy. Okay. All right, so the next word is galaxy. Galaxy. Before we talked about the expression solar system, so solar system is kind of our region of space, the region we're familiar with, but the next step up, so if you think of the solar system as kind of your neighborhood a little bit, you could think of maybe the galaxy as your city or your country maybe. It's sort of the next step out. So a galaxy is made up of lots and lots of stars, maybe other planets, other solar system, many other solar systems in one galaxy. So I think, yeah, we belong to the Milky Way galaxy, I believe. In a sentence, our galaxy is made of lots of different stars and planets. Earth. The next expression is Earth. Earth. Earth is our planet. Earth is the planet we live on. Earth is, habitable, meaning humans can live here. This word, I included it in this vocabulary list because it is a very good word to practice your pronunciation. It is the word earth. Earth. That R and the TH sound can be difficult to pronounce together. Earth. Earth. So this is a great word to use to practice your pronunciation. Earth. So in a sentence, our planet is called Earth. Nutritional facts. The first word is nutritional facts. Nutritional facts. If you look at the back of a food product, in this case, it's not written in English, but at the back of a food product, you will often see in many countries, depending on the regulations in your country, a list of information, numbers, and some words. Those are the nutritional facts of that food product. In a sentence, check the nutritional facts for important dietary information. Calorie. The next word is calorie. So calorie is the word that's assigned, which means energy, the energy in a food, essentially. So some foods are high calorie, some foods are low calorie. In a sentence, avoid eating lots of high calorie foods if you want to lose weight. Carbohydrate, carbs. The next word is carbohydrate. Carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is a very long word, so we usually abbreviate it. We usually shorten it to carbs. So carbs are foods, for example, bread, rice, pasta, sweets, sugars, and things. These are foods which will give you like a quick burst, a quick bit of energy. In a sentence, I can't help but eat lots of carbs sometimes. Protein. The next word is protein. Protein is often talked about when you want to build muscle or lose weight. Protein relates a lot to muscle. It can help you build muscle too. If that's your goal. So we use protein. Protein is it takes your body a longer time to access the energy in protein than it does carbohydrates. So people say it's important to have a balance of protein and carbohydrates in your diet for a quick energy and slow release energy. In a sentence, it's important to get enough protein. Sugar. The next word is sugar. So sugar, we talked about sugar and carbohydrates. It is pure energy. It is, but usually it is not a healthy type of energy, especially if it's added to a food. So sugar is it's a carbohydrate. It's just energy, and it doesn't have really much other good stuff nutritionally in it. But it can help make things sweet, and it can help give quick bursts of energy. So it's very commonly found in candy and sweets. In a sentence, eating too much sugar can be bad for your skin. Fat. The next word is fat. Fat. There's, of course, animal fats. So like bacon, for example, is like kind of famously delicious because it is a fatty piece of meat. There's a lot of fat in it. So fat can make food taste better. And then fat also has a bad reputation because it can, of course, the word fat, oftentimes people say, I don't want to be fat. But fat in food can make things taste better. There can be good kinds of fats and trying to reduce bad fats. So in a sentence, fat helps make things taste better. Sodium. The next word is sodium. Sodium is essentially salt. Lots of sodium can be bad for you. People tend to recommend, I think, to keep low sodium levels in your food. So sodium is salt. In a sentence, make sure not to consume too much sodium. Vitamins. The next word is vitamins. So vitamins are kind of good, like body boosting things. So like they can give you like extra good stuff for your body, essentially. So like fruits and vegetables have lots of vitamins in them, for example. In a sentence, fruit juice has lots of vitamins. Diet. The next word is diet. So be careful. There's the word to diet, which means to limit your food and drink, to limit your consumption in order to lose weight. But there's also the noun form of diet. So in this case, I mean diet as in your eating habits, your eating lifestyle. So for example, I could say, it's important to have a balanced diet, meaning it's important to keep balance in the foods that you eat and the things that you drink. So a balanced diet refers to a balanced eating and drinking lifestyle. So diet, when used in this way, means lifestyle, not like a intention to lose weight. So please be careful with this word. In a sentence, keeping a balanced diet is important for a healthy lifestyle. Ingredients. The next word is ingredients. So if you check the nutritional facts on the back of a food product, you'll usually see a list of ingredients. So the ingredients are the things inside that product, the things that are used to make the product you're looking at right now. The ingredient list is created based on the quantity of that item in that product. So if you're buying candy, for example, the first item in the ingredient list is probably going to be sugar. And then after that, the item with the next highest quantity will be on the list. So ingredients are the things used to make that product. Ingredients. In a sentence, I always check the ingredients list. Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the 24-hour survival phrases PDF cheat sheet. Traveling and want to learn a bit of the language? Then these survival phrases will help you survive the first 24 hours. Second, the ultimate listening video master course. Honest question: how good are your listening skills? Well, if you can watch this free master course, then you'll easily understand native speakers. So download it right now. Third, the 50 most common verbs all beginners must know. Do you know all of these verbs? If not, this lesson will drill the 50 most common verbs into your head. Just use the free audio slideshow tool inside. Fourth, 20 strategies for learning language at home. Want to learn a language from the comfort of your home? This 1-minute lesson will give you all the best tactics for learning languages. Fifth, free language learning audiobooks for anyone that sees this video. You'll get free access to our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 35% off Premium or Premium Plus with the Power Up sale. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the lesson description below. Download them right now before they expire. First question this week comes from Nagarjuna. Hi, Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna says, what is the difference between being and having? Okay, let's start with the word having. We use the word having in set expressions that use the verb have. For example, I'm having a good time, or I'm having trouble with this. He's having a shower at the moment. Can he call you back? Okay, so then being has a lot more uses than having. We use being to talk about temporary conditions. We can use this before adjectives. Keep in mind that when we use being before adjectives, we're using it to describe something that's temporary. In cases where we use the same adjective without being, it's describing something that is a regular condition. So let's compare these two sentences. He's weird. He's being weird. The first sentence, he's weird, is a simple present tense sentence. There's no being here. That shows us that weird is a regular condition. So he's usually weird. He's always weird. The second sentence, though, he's being weird, uses being in the progressive tense. So that shows us it's a temporary condition. It means at this moment, he's weird. Only this moment. So usually he's not weird, but for right now, he is. So when you see being used before adjectives in this way, it's referring to this temporary state or this temporary condition. So we can use being before a noun as well, but we use it to talk about an ongoing condition such as our job. We want to talk about like the state of being something that's like always like the same for us. That's usually our job or something that's unchanging. That's a regular condition for us. So we can make sentences that have the same meaning that just use be in different ways. For example, is being an artist difficult? And is it difficult to be an artist? Both of these sentences use the verb to be. The first one uses being and just refers to the ongoing condition of an artist. So is it difficult to be an artist? And is being an artist difficult? Those have the same meaning. They're just slightly different grammatical structures. We can also use being before verbs. When we do this, we tend to use it in passive voice, and we use verbs in the past participle form. When we do this in present tense, it's referring to an action that is ongoing now. When we're talking about past tense situations, it's referring to an action that was continuing in the past, so an unfinished action in the past. Sometimes there will be an interruption that we can see in the sentence, later in the sentence, but in some cases it's just referring to an unfinished action. For example, present tense, we are being watched. My lunch is being eaten by someone else. So these show ongoing, unfinished actions that maybe we can see or we know about, but they're continuing. So we can use being to talk about those. So we use have or having in the progressive form in set expressions that use have. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Faisal. Say it. Hi, Faisal. Faisal says, how can I talk very quickly in English? Don't worry so much about speaking quickly or like as fast as you possibly can. Like everybody speaks at a pace that's natural and comfortable for them. But if you want to work on improving the smoothness of your speech, something that you might try is just reading text out loud. So something that you can do to practice is find like an interesting news article or maybe a blog or even a short story to read, something that's got a little bit of length to it. You don't want to read just tweets, but something that you can read that you can follow along with. Practice reading this out loud. So don't just read in your mind. Practice saying the words and connecting the words to one another. So you can do this first, like slowly. That's fine. It's fine to read slowly at first. But then come back to the same article. Practice reading that again, like later in the week or a couple days later, and practice making the sounds a little bit faster. So do this a couple times until you're comfortable with the grammar points, until you're comfortable with the vocabulary words. And then when you're fine, you can move on to another article. Challenge yourself with another article that uses different grammar points, different words, and so on. Something that I find interesting and fun kind of to do when I practice this way is to try to take recordings of myself. So maybe on one day, I'll practice for like an hour or I'll study for an hour or something. And at the end of my practice session, I will record myself. And then I can listen to or watch the recording later and see maybe what parts weren't so good or what parts I was good at. Then, at my next practice session, I can do the same thing and compare it to my first practice session. After a few weeks of this, then I can look back at my first practice session, compare it to my last practice session, and see how much I've improved. So this is a really good way, at least I've found, to kind of track progress. So this is something that could maybe help you as you try to improve your rate of speech. So again, don't worry so much about speaking super fast. Like it's going to sound unnatural if you're just pushing yourself to speak super quickly all the time. So just try to find a comfortable pace that allows you to communicate clearly and smoothly. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. All right, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Yusuf. Hi, Yusuf. Yusuf says, how can I politely ask my teacher if it's okay to exit the classroom? If you would like to leave your classroom, you can say something like, may I leave the room? Or can I leave the room? So some people are really strict about the difference between may and can. Historically, may has been used to ask for permission. Can has been used to talk about possibility or ability, rather. So if you want to be super strict, may is better. But may could sound a little bit more polite. So may I leave the room is okay. It's probably a good idea to include the reason you would like to leave the room. For example, may I go to the restroom? Or may I go to the office? Or may I go to the health center? I don't feel well. So if you want to include a reason, you can do that. May I go to someplace? So this is how you would politely ask your teacher if it's okay to exit the classroom. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Let's move on to your next question. Next question is from Artemium. Hi, Artemium. Artemium says, hi, Alicia. Is it required to put the indefinite article in front of an adjective that follows an uncountable noun? For example, hot milk, or neat writing, or good education. Thanks. Aha. No, in most cases, actually, using the indefinite article in this way would be incorrect. To refresh everybody, the indefinite article is a or an, and we use indefinite articles before countable nouns in the singular form. But I do want to talk a bit about these examples that you've introduced. The first example that you introduced was the phrase hot milk. So the only way that I can think of that we would use an indefinite article before an expression like this is if hot milk is a menu item. You go to a restaurant or coffee shop and hot milk is on the menu. And when you order, you say, "A hot milk, please," or "one hot milk, please." In that case, it's okay. The reason for this is because hot milk as a set phrase is understood as one unit. So even though milk is an uncountable noun, yes, we understand hot milk is like one mug or is one cup of something. Like that's one item I can order. In that case, using the indefinite article is okay. It's natural. It's much better, in fact, than saying, "Can I have some hot milk?" which sounds very weird there. In that case, when we're ordering something, we understand hot milk to be one unit, like one cup, one glass. In that case, fine, no problem. So another example of this might be at like a bakery. If you go to the bakery and you'd say, "I'd like a sourdough bread, please." So in that case, sourdough bread is understood to be one unit, one type of bread, like a menu item. In that case, fine, no problem. Your second example was about the expression neat writing. So this is one that I would not use an article before. I would say in some very rare, very uncommon cases, especially in like formal or maybe religious texts, some people would use the word writing to refer to like a script, to refer to a text. Using writing in this way to refer just to written text sounds quite formal. So in today's English, we would probably just say a neat piece of writing. We would not use the indefinite article in this case. Finally then, your last example was the expression good education. So the reason that this one is a little bit tricky is because we have an idiomatic expression to get an education. To get an education means to receive education. But in this idiom, we use the article. We use the indefinite article "and" before education. So because this is an idiomatic expression, it's a set expression, we preserve that indefinite article and just move it in front of good. So in your example, good education, we could say to get a good education. That would be fine. In that case, because it's an idiom and because it uses an indefinite article originally, we keep it there. Some examples that use this idiom. She got a good education at her university. It's important that you get a good education. Okay, so if you're looking at adjective uncountable noun phrases that are understood as a unit, it's okay to use an indefinite article, and it's okay to use an indefinite article when the uncountable noun is part of an idiom. So I hope that this helps answer your question. Thanks very much. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Takuji Sasamoto. Hi, Takuji. Takuji says, "Hi, Alicia. Please teach me how to use you know in conversation." Okay, depending on the positioning in the sentence and how we feel when we say it, meaning how our voice feels when we say it, it can have slightly different meanings. When we position you know at the beginning of a sentence, it feels a little bit like "by the way." So for example, you know, there's a 3-day weekend coming up. Or, you know, I have a big bonus coming in this summer. So in these sentences, it means like, by the way. And from the tone of my voice, it's like there's something exciting. There's some exciting new information I want to share there. You know. If we position you know at the end of a sentence, it tends to sound like a question, and we use it to like get agreement from people around us. So we're like talking about a difficult situation and we're trying to get agreement from the people around us. For example, I don't want to upset my parents, you know? Or I'm just not ready to move to a new city, you know? So in those cases, we use you know to get listener agreement. So we're saying you know as like a short version of don't you know what I mean? Or do you understand what I mean? So you can think of you know used in that way with that upward intonation to be looking for like confirmation. So that's actually a pretty good rule. If you hear you know used with that upward question intonation, it's probably a good hint that that's looking for agreement. The speaker is looking for agreement. If you hear it with that downward intonation, you know, it's probably sharing some new information, that by the way feel. So I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. Okay, so that's everything that I have for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending your question. First question comes from Rizal Kuswandi. Hi again, Rizal. Rizal says, can you explain what modal verbs are? Sure. So a modal verb is a verb that's used to talk about possibility or ability. In English, we have will and would, shall and should, can and could, and may, might, and must. I might come to the office later. We should look for a new apartment. Can you help me move my sofa? So we use modal verbs in English to talk about possibility, yes, and ability too, as with can and could. But we also use them in patterns relating to giving advice and asking for advice, as well as making offers and requests too. So there are a couple of videos on the channel that you can check out for some more information about modal verbs. First, you can look at the must for possibility whiteboard video. There's also a video about would, especially using would for future tense situations. That's coming out very soon. You can also look at the will versus going to video on the channel for some future tense expressions. There are some other videos about modal verbs coming out and some other information about may and might and must in live streams. So please take a look around the channel for some more information, some detailed information about some of these modal verbs. And of course, there'll be more content coming up soon. So I hope that you check out those lessons, and I hope that you can get a good start on modal verb studies. Thanks very much for sending this along. I hope that helps clear up what a modal verb is. Okay, let's move along to your next question. Next question comes from Trang. Hi, Trang. Trang says, hi, Alicia. What does get rid of mean? Get rid of means throw away. We often use the word get rid of when we want to throw something away quickly, or when we really don't want that item, or it was really unnecessary. We can also use the phrase get rid of with people, but this is used when we want to cut someone off of a group or an organization, like when someone loses their job, for example. I finally got rid of my broken blender. Our company finally got rid of that employee who was stealing things. Okay, so I hope this helps you understand the expression get rid of something. Thanks very much for sending it. All right, onward to our next question. Next question this week comes from Muhammad Al-Daily. Hi again, Muhammad. Muhammad says, hi, Alicia. What's the difference between supposedly and supposably? And can I use them interchangeably? No, use supposedly, supposedly. So supposedly means according to something else, this is true. But we use supposedly when we're like a little bit skeptical. So skeptical means we don't quite believe something is true. Like there's a little bit of like disbelief there. Like maybe someone is lying or someone is hiding something. So there's a feeling of suspicion. But it's like saying, according to this person, this situation is true. But we might not have all the information. So supposedly is the word that means this. Some examples. Supposedly, this is a good company to work for. Supposedly, he missed his flight because of traffic. So supposably, the other word you introduced, means conceivable, something we are able to conceive of, something that we can suppose. So it does not have this meaning of according to someone plus disbelief. It doesn't have the same meaning as supposedly. In American English, speakers will use this word, but it's a mistake. They're intending, they're planning, they want to use the word supposedly, but they make a mistake and use supposably instead. So please use supposedly, not supposably. I hope that this helps you. Thanks very much for the question. All right, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Motahare. Motahare, I hope. Hello, Motahare. Motahare says, hi, Alicia. Is it true that we use of for something that belongs to a thing or animal, but apostrophe s for something that belongs to a human? No, it is not true. While yes, it does sound more natural to use apostrophe s for something that belongs to a human, it is not a rule to use of to show possession for something that belongs to a thing or an animal. Some examples, let's compare. The car's steering wheel came off in my hands. And the steering wheel of the car came off in my hands. My computer's screen is broken. The screen of my computer is broken. So these pairs of sentences actually mean the same thing. We're just showing possession in like different ways. I would say that native speakers will probably use whatever is the shortest way to describe whatever it is they want to say. So probably the apostrophe s pattern is most common. It's certainly not incorrect to use the of pattern. Both are fine to use here. When you're talking about people, however, it does sound much more natural to use the apostrophe s pattern. Using the of pattern to show possession for something we own or something we have sounds very weird when you're talking about people. Examples. My friend's hair is beautiful. The hair of my friend is beautiful. Your brother's shirt is so funny. The shirt of your brother is so funny. Very weird. So in these pairs, the second example sentence that uses of, while grammatically correct, sounds very strange. So when you're talking about people, use the apostrophe s pattern to talk about their characteristics or the things that they have. If you're talking about an object or an animal, you can choose whichever you prefer. As I said, native speakers tend to use the shortest expression possible. So in most cases, that's the apostrophe s pattern. Also note that in some formal situations, when we want to make something sound a bit more like grand or exciting, we will use that of pattern instead of the apostrophe s pattern, like the palace of the king instead of the king's palace. So that's going to make it sound a little bit more exciting. So in those cases, in like those formal, really exciting, like luxurious, expensive cases, you might hear of used more often. Okay, I hope that that helps you. Thanks very much for your question. Let's move along to our next question for this week. Next question comes from Bahij. Hi, Bahij. Bahij says, what's the difference between if I and if I will? For example, if I do that and if I will do that. If there's a difference, where is it? This is a good question, but the answer is that we use if I and not if I will. Actually, this relates back to our first question from this week's episode about modal verbs. When you're making a conditional sentence, that means a sentence that uses an if clause and a main clause. We do not use a modal verb in the if clause. If you want to use a modal verb, your modal verb needs to come in your main clause. So that means if you want to make an if sentence and you want to use will, you can use them in the same sentence, but you have to separate the clauses that they're in. That means if I something, 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 I will something, something, something. That's the pattern that you need to use. You cannot use if I will together in that way. You have to separate these two. Some examples. If I have the day off tomorrow, I'll go to the movie theater. If we save enough money this month, we can go to Hawaii this summer. So the second example sentence uses a different modal verb. I used can there instead of will. So just make sure that when you're making these conditional sentences that you don't use your modal verb in your if clause. Use it in your main clause. Also, remember, you can swap the order. You can switch the order so that it's main clause first, if clause second. That's fine. The same rule still applies. We can go to Hawaii this summer if we save enough money this month. So that's also fine. You can choose whichever you prefer. So I hope that that helps you. Use if I, not if I will. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the difference between someone, everyone, and anyone, and somebody, anybody, and everybody. Let's get started by looking at the meanings of these words and how we use them. Okay, let's begin with someone and somebody to begin with. You can remember someone and somebody and anyone and anybody follow very similar rules as some and any. If you've seen the video on our channel talking about some and any, maybe you remember the rules that I'm going to explain here. You can check that video for some extra information about those grammar points too. So let's start with someone and somebody. We use someone and somebody in positive statements. So a simple statement, not a question, in other words. When we make a positive statement, we use someone and somebody in that sentence structure. We also use these two words in requests and in offers. So keep in mind these are two categories of question. So a request question or an offer question. Let's take a look at some examples of this now. First of all, there's someone at the office. So here I've chosen someone. There's someone at the office. This is a positive statement. So not a question, just a statement. It's a positive here. The next example, can you send someone to help me? Can you send someone to help me? This is a request, so a specific type of question, a request question. Can you send someone to help me? The third example sentence is an offer. Would you like to talk to somebody? Would you like to talk to somebody? So here we have request, offer, positive statement. We can use someone or somebody in each of these examples. So I've used someone, someone, and somebody here, but actually we can change each of these to the other choice. Both are fine in each of these example sentences. I'll talk more about the difference between one and buddy a little bit later. For now, however, let's move on to the difference between anyone and anybody. Okay, so this is a key difference between someone and somebody. Anyone and anybody, this is used in negative statements. These are used in negative statements. Someone and somebody used in positive statements. So this follows the same rule as some and any. So in negative statements, and we use anyone and anybody in information questions. So that means that not requests, not offers, but you're looking for some kind of information. We use anyone and anybody in these cases. So let's look at a few examples of this. First, I don't think anyone is at the office. Don't think anyone is at the office. So here we've used anyone because it's a negative. Here's my negative. It's in the do not. So not right here. This is my negative. Therefore, I've used anyone here. One more example sentence, a question this time. Has anybody seen my keys? Here I've used anybody. I've used this because this is an information question. I'm looking for some information I don't have now. This is not a request, it's not an offer. So I shouldn't use someone or somebody. I need to use anyone or anybody. I'm looking for information. This third example sentence is the same. Why hasn't anyone returned my calls? Here, anyone. And I'm looking for information. In this case, a why. This is a why question. So again, not a request, not an offer. I'm looking to find something new. I'm looking for information, so I should use anyone. Again, just as I talked about with someone and somebody, I can change this anyone, anybody, and anyone to the other word. It's fine to use the other word here. For example, anybody, anyone, anybody. That's perfectly fine. Again, I'll explain more a little bit later here. But remember, anyone and anybody is used in negative statements. Someone, somebody used in positive statements. This is one key difference. Okay, but let's move along now to everyone and everybody. Everyone and everybody, this will follow kind of a different rule than someone and anyone. We use everyone and everybody to refer to all people related to a situation or related to a group. So this could mean a class, it could mean every person in an office, it could mean in a city, in a country. So it just depends on the group or the situation. We use this word when we want to talk about all people related to that group or related to the situation. So let's look at some examples. Okay, first one. Everyone in our class graduated. So here, everyone. in our class graduated refers to all the people in our class. So everyone in that group of people. In this case, the group is the class. So all people in the class. Another example, it was great to see everybody at the reunion. So everybody here shows us, again, all people. And this could be a class reunion, it could be a family reunion, a company reunion. So this just means it was great to see all the related people, so the people related to the situation at this reunion event. One more example then. Everybody had a great time. So here, everybody shows us everybody in the situation. So maybe everybody who attended the event had a great time. Everybody who attended the party had a great time. This is quite a common expression after an event of some kind. So again, as we saw with the first two groups, we can actually change each of these words to the other word. So everyone can be replaced with everybody. Same thing here, everybody and everybody can be replaced with everyone. So I want to end this lesson with a quick introduction or a quick overview to the difference between these two endings, one and buddy. What is the difference here? Really, one, the words that end in one, someone, anyone, and everyone, they sound more formal than the words that end in buddy. So we can actually use these interchangeably. Interchangeably means we can mix and match them. We can choose which one we prefer. So that means the meanings are the same, like their purpose is the same. It's just up to us to choose. So why would we do this? Why would we choose one word and not the other word? You can choose according to the syllables. If you remember, syllables is the number of beats. A syllable is a beat of a word. So for example, somebody has 3 beats. Someone has only 2 beats, 2 syllables. This is important when you are writing, especially like writing poetry, writing lyrics for music, or maybe you're trying to write a nice essay, for example. We are listening for which words sound nice to our ears. So sometimes the word somebody sounds nice, sometimes the word someone sounds better. So it's up to us, meaning we can decide, we can choose which word we prefer to use. So you just have to listen and kind of feel which you prefer. There's no difference in meaning, it's just a sound preference and a little bit of a formality difference. So I hope that this lesson helped you understand the differences between these words a little bit. As I said, if you want some more information about the difference between some and any, you can search the YouTube channel for that video as well. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.